tell the story.
That could really have a bad ending.
I know.
Okay, now I see.
I mean, that
Okay.
dog technically should be, exterminated.
Okay. I
Yeah.
see.
Well, I just can't do that. So, do you see how it looks like a flag, even though I
Yep.
don't do a very good job? So, someone has taken a lot,
Mhm.
divided it, created a second tax parcel account number, so we call it flag lot. The reason this is here is because obviously you have to have easement to get through it, so I draw a bad flag, but that's what a flag lot is.
Okay, that's helpful, okay.
Let's see.
And that's very
Well,
complicated.
also,
now, isn't it?
Pretty
I
common.
mean, and also, okay, that's the flagpole, but there can be a way bigger lot, you know, at the end of the flag lot. And so, that's the lot,
This is the whole lot originally, and then
the flag, that's considered the flag lot.
this is the flag lot.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say is like, I have one next to my house, and so the lot behind let's say my house is the left square,
Uh-huh.
the lot, where the flag is on the
Uh-huh.
flag lot is way bigger, it's like a half acre.
Oh.
So that, and it doesn't border any street, like, it's surrounded by the houses.
Right.
So
You
their
just
only
have-
access to the road is through that flagpole.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, yeah. Cause you can't have a lot without
So it
ingress
makes
and
it
egress.
slightly less desirable, right?
It really depends.
Okay,
It
hello.
depends on everything. I tell
Okay.
you, there are people that love that because
Yeah.
they're tucked back in a way and it's
Uh-huh.
really private.
Okay,
Except
I
for
mean,
the guy
if
that
you're
you're
on a
meeting this
busy
week.
street, if you're on Kihei Road
yeah,
and you go, I'm not gonna look at anything on Kihei Road, it's too busy.
right,
And then something comes up that has a flag lot and it's a long piece to go and it's
Okay.
quiet back there.
all right. So it's
It
all
just-
relative.
It's all
You
relative.
can't
I
just
tell
say
ya.
that, wow.
Each property. The good thing is a clear
Yeah.
path generally emerges when you're with the client. So, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so you're gonna record your own comments on the MLS sheet, of course, and name it. Great View House, Creek House, Fountain House, oh, Smelly Cat House, I like that. Yeah. While touring properties, avoid making comments. I mentioned this already. It's really important. Let your buyers come to their own conclusions. Instead, ask questions. You want to get inside their heads to determine if this home is really a match for what they want. What would you change about this house? That's a good question. What would you change about this house?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, jump in.
What about like on a caravan, do you refrain from making comments?
No, that's fine. There's no agents, there's no buyers yet.
Yeah, but at that one house with all the multicolors, the owner was sitting behind curtains in her alleged office. Yeah, so.
Well, then, yeah.
And
Yeah,
you
if there's any chance that the seller is there, you do not.
Yeah,
You just look at each other and roll your eyes.
okay. So the question is, what would you change about this?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
in here, it says, what would you change about this house?
Okay,
What would have to happen before you actually moved in if you got this house? Help buyers identify their perfect home by pointing out the benefits, not the features, that align with the needs, wants, and values you've already identified. Features are attached to the property, benefits are attached to the buyer. So, a feature is a water fountain, the benefit is the Zen,
no mosquitoes.
yeah, whatever, yeah, the benefit. Have the buyers rank the houses you've shown them in order, 1 to 5. Now, that's usually pretty obvious, but they point out something good here. If you're working with a couple, have them do this at the same time to see if they're on the same page. The exercise will help the buyer self-discover as to what is really important to them in their new home. And, some people analyze the heck out of things, couples just jump in and they discover as they're going through the process, there are differences.
Yeah,
You need to help them discover those differences
yeah,
and determine the value.
uh-huh,
So, finally, ask the buyers, do you see yourself living here? Why or why not? They respond affirmatively, ask, are you ready to make an offer today? That feels a little uncomfortable in the beginning, but it's real important. It's a temperature taker.
uh-huh.
This is a nice house. I see you guys like this house. It's this might be the one. Are you ready to make an offer today? It's gonna give you information that'll help you move forward. Home touring etiquette, I think a lot of this is, things that we already know as grown-ups. Leave the home as you found it, be really careful about AC, lights. Some people like to turn off all the lights. Some are meant to be left on, it's hard to say. Sometimes a really good seller's agent, they have the time, they run ahead and open it up, and turn the lights on, close curtains and like that. You know, so if they're gonna do that, and they say, well, I'm gonna go open up and go, okay, how would you like me to leave the house?
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good
Be
one.
mindful of pets. Make sure you've read the touring notes. That's important. It's easy for one house to flow into another. So I usually, when I pull up, I glance down at the realtor notes again, just to make sure that I'm remembering something that might be important. Leave a card on the counter. There are markets where that's the law. That is not the law here, although it can be a nice thing to do.
I actually really like that note, especially because it's, you know, if it was just the seller, like, selling the attraction like that, you've never given,
Yeah.
you've given your call as a lead for maybe, you know, that doesn't work out with that listing,
Yeah, maybe, although that wouldn't be my intent, because, you know, but.
but I'm seeing
Yeah,
like that, so.
you-
I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Right on.
Use what you can.
Lead generation.
That's right. Database.
It says notify the listing agent if you notice anything is wrong. Some people just do their thing, but
Yeah.
I like to be very kind and helpful to any agent that I can be, because my relationship with that agent's gonna come in handy someday.
Yeah.
Just assume that, so,
Yeah.
and it's a good thing to do, it's the right thing to do. You know, I'll call and go, hey, I'm still in the house and all these plants look really bad, do you want me to water them?
That's nice.
Something like that.
Simple
There's
little
things that come up.
Act of kindness.
Yeah. Okay.
That's for silk. Sorry.
This is kind of an interesting exercise on page 21. I'm going to, let's see. Yeah, I'll spend a minute on this. So what they're suggesting is that we use the chart below to list 3 common features you might want a buyer to notice. List the benefits of that feature without naming it, and have the class guess what it is you're talking about. So the idea of this is to get clear on the difference between a feature and a benefit, right? So this is a good example. The benefit is a place for the kids to play soccer, plenty of room for the dog to run, and a great place for entertaining friends. Backyard, yeah, like that, so. Kind of clear on benefits versus
Yeah,
features.
right.
Okay, it's really important, and also when you have the seller listing agent hat on, that, when you're marketing and advertising, people have a tendency to list the features, list the benefits, how it's gonna make them feel, what it's gonna do, yeah, so we list benefits for marketing. On page 22. Once you know who the decision maker is in a family, keep your focus on them if possible. It's my experience that if I set it up to where I have a couple, you know, I'm gonna sit over here and across the table, and I give them space. The one that sits in the chair right across from you is usually the decision maker.
Respectfully, I have to completely disagree with this
Okay.
philosophy. Just
Thank you.
because
Please do.
while you want to identify them,
Mhm.
I always make it a point to speak to both equally, just because just bad things can happen if you don't.
No,
right?
I honestly,
Yeah,
I never
yeah.
meant to say, excuse me, if you thought that meant I'm not gonna be, they're never gonna know that. I'm just
Okay.
gonna keep my eye on the dynamic
Okay,
between
okay.
the
Well,
decision
yeah,
It
maker.
sorry.
says right here, once you know who the decision maker in a family is, keep your focus
Yeah, I was
on
reading.
them.
I was reading along with it.
If possible, I don't, and he's, yeah, I don't.
You're gonna take care of everybody. That doesn't mean not to focus
I
on
think
the
you have
other
to be
people.
subtle about it.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so you're the decision maker, huh? No,
yeah.
no, I'm not suggesting that at all, so I didn't mean that, but they're gonna give you some tips and clues as to what you have to address as well. Because if the decision maker has a problem with something, and the other person doesn't care and really loves that property, it's gonna bode well for you to help them work that out together. And the way you know what's going on is by kind of keeping an eye on them. They could have put that a little better.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on them. That doesn't mean
Okay.
not focus on everybody, but keep an eye on that decision maker. Cause, that's like if you just jump in a car and go show somebody houses, and you only have the husband or only have the wife.
So in instances like that, what would you do? Like one of the spouses couldn't make it, but the other ones still see the properties, would you go through with it? Yeah?
I would probably go through it. It doesn't happen very often, but I would try everything I could to get them to reschedule a time when we could both go through.
Right.
Or make sure that when you're scheduling that time, you're also scheduling time with the absent person so that you could bring them up to snuff. So it's not an ideal situation.
Yeah, right.
Because then they're gonna come in and blow everything up. All your work and hard work is just gonna go poof.
Have you ever had to do like a FaceTime walk through a house?
Yeah.
For off-island buyers?
Yeah, I take videos and you bet.
I just had a realtor do it for me, for a rental, I was looking at when I was still on the mainland.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were very nice about it, she was giving her commentary and walking on, she was walking
I've
along
seen
with
someone
me.
do that, it's funny.
It was
I do
nice.
that on Caravan. I'll put it over
Yeah.
on my Facebook page just for fun, or if I see something, that's, I saw a house the other day, and that these people aren't ready quite yet, it's gonna be several months. But if, and I just said, hey, if you were ready, oh my gosh, check this out. So it's another way to engage also, and, yeah.
Cool.
We can do so many cool things now with the video business. So some of the most common buying signals are listed below. Body language, facial expressions, asking about a seller's motivation, it's an obvious one. Asking detailed questions, such as about the seller's disclosure or taxes. Visualizing furniture placement, definitely a big one. They keep going, well, we could da-da-da-da-da-da. And then they get nervous that sometimes I'm not gonna go into that rabbit hole, it's okay. Visualizing furniture placement, comparing other houses to it. Boy, compared to Smelly Cat, this place smells great. Discussing new paint or carpet, sitting down in the house. When somebody really likes the place and they're hanging out and stuff, I'll go sit down in a chair, but not the couch, and then I'll say, hey, go sit down on the couch, see how it feels. Cause that's kinda different when you sit down and go, oh, I could be sitting here watching the evening news or.
Drinking some coffee, reading a book.
It's kind of like a pre-move-in, right, experience.
Yeah, just have that experiential
Yeah.
knowledge.
Get them experiencing themselves there.
So sitting down in the house, becoming protective, not wanting other buyers to see the property, that's the
Yeah.
story.
Lock it down, Jeanie, lock it down.
Yeah, exactly. Asking for a second showing, and they make a comment here about number 10, raising objections. That really is a buying signal, because that means that you care enough to work through something that might get in the way of you moving forward.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, I can see that doesn't offer da-da-da-da-da. If that wasn't an issue, would this be the right house for you? So you can turn all those
That's a
things
great
into.
question.
Yeah.
If that
yeah.
wasn't an issue.
If that wasn't an issue, would you be making an offer on this one today? Because that issue might grow smaller after they've seen everything to be seen, or
What was the wording? If that wasn't an issue.
if that was an issue, would we be making an offer on this house today? I'm gonna skip the scripts on 23 to make sure that we have time. We'll come back if we do.
We have 30, or a little bit.
We probably will be some, yeah. I like page 24. How do you handle buyers afraid to pull the trigger?
That's not my 24, what do you have, 24?
Oh, I
Yeah.
have bring your buyers to decision.
Yes,
Are you
bring,
out-
oh,
you're
yeah,
out
I was
of
just
it?
talking.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, okay, oops,
Don't
sorry.
mind me. Bring your buyers to a decision, yeah. Remember, you're not a tour guide with a lockbox key. Your job, once you've helped them find the right home, is to facilitate the decision-making process so they can make an offer and get the home they want before someone else does. So this is just a great, I mean, this is our business. These are our leads. Convert some of them into appointments.
Contracts.
We contract to work with them as buyers or sellers. And we go look at properties, make an offer, and close our deals. So in coming to a decision, people get nervous, and you sometimes just need to back up and walk through the process again. You know, I'm gonna walk through the process again. Let me, stop me and let me know. I'm gonna make note of the pieces to the process that you're nervous about or worried about, so that we can address those issues. And I tell you one thing, Teresa, I don't want you to sign anything until you're completely comfortable.
Thank you.
Yeah, I get it. Page 25, the decision-making process. Each time you show the property, ask your buyer to rank the property on a scale of 1 to 10. So we're gonna do that and note that. The purpose is to continuously decide which property is ranked at the top for a possible offer. Ask them why they ranked it higher or lower. After each showing, ask if they want to purchase that home. Well, there's sometimes where it's obvious and you're not gonna ask. Then I might say, well, I guess I'm not gonna ask you if you wanna purchase this one. I'm still keeping them in that buying mode. This is a serious thing. We're out looking for a house to buy, right? And if you ask them several times and it's not in their flow, they're gonna let you know. And that's what you want. You need them to come out with how they're really feeling. By the way, they might not even know how they're really feeling. It might uncover itself as you, right? Right? So, continually asking those questions and helps you keep your kind of finger on the pulse of where they're at. When you're finished touring homes, put all the MLS sheets together in their order of ranking. Eliminate all but the top 2 homes. Take the highest scoring home and ask, so is this one your favorite? Is it going to be your new home? It does meet everything on your checklist, doesn't it? I can see why you're so excited. Take the MLS sheet of the top ranking home, flip it over, and draw a line from top to bottom. Just like it's a good decision-making process in all things in life. You're gonna list the pros and the cons, and then ask them to make an offer. Don't forget to ask for the order, right? It's right up there with press hard, there's 3 copies. Ask for the order. Once they've clearly narrowed in on the highest ranking house, help them focus on the next step, making an offer. Oftentimes it's so obvious which one it is. Other times it's not. So, well, if you feel like we haven't found the right house today, let's take these 2 or 3 that rated the highest for you and use them to analyze and figure out which direction we're gonna go from here, or understand, so that I can very clearly understand the most important pieces of this. And you wanna analyze those things. So, would it make sense for us to go back to my office and do some research on house prices in the neighborhood and see what would be a good offer? I don't know that I would. If they're worrying about what to offer, if it's not obvious and stuff like that, then yeah, I would definitely say, well, let's go back and look at what things are selling for. Because I know you're only putting 10% down, 5% down. We need to make sure that it's going to appraise. I know you're willing to pay this, but let's make sure, it's my job to protect you here. Let's make sure we're in the ballpark, right? So we're. Okay, there is a video you'd like you to watch. Let's see. Okay, so
far?
I could,
Scott Norley.
Can't either, so.
oh, good.
I'm
There you
at,
go.
I'm at 99.
Oh, no, really?
I think it's the bio and I haven't done my bio yet, so
Oh.
I'll just go
Huh.
generic.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting. That's French, Canadian. Let's go down here.
Lounge.
Where's the? Wonder where? I'm sorry, I asked this morning she was gonna pull it up, but I might have closed it by accident. I don't think. Come on. Come on. Be kind.
Can you just go back to that resources and search for it? Is there a search?
That's
is
what
there
I
a search box for it?
figured.
Or just scroll up to the top.
Is there someone?
Yeah, try the little magnifying glass up there. Well,
Oh,
no,
there
that's
we
gonna,
go.
it's gonna be too. Well, I mean, we'll try.
Yeah, let's do it. Good idea.
Create bio urgency.
Didn't miss anything.
We were just talking about you. It's
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too bold, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Sorry about that. I gotta get that together, don't I? Oh, well, I'll see if I look for it if we have time when that's over. Send it to Instructor Resources. It should be right there. I don't. That's
It's only a 5-minute video.
Yeah, 3 minutes and 21 seconds. So on page 27, what, no offers? If your buyers do not want to make an offer on any of the properties you show, make sure you understand why. And then schedule your next appointment, they're looky-loos.
That's right.
Then schedule your next appointment before you say goodbye. Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, before we part company, let's get out our calendars and set up our next meeting to look for that home you want to buy. Nothing worth seeing has hit the market by Friday. I'll call you and we'll reschedule it for the next Saturday. Okay, make sure you've established how often you're gonna be in touch with them and how, is it email, is it text, et cetera, et cetera.
Already.
So your job is not to try and sell your buyers a home that isn't right for them, but it's your job to help them recognize when a home fits their needs and wants and values. Reassure them, this is real important. When buyers are sure they like a house, but are reluctant to take the next step to make an offer for a million different reasons, reassure them that the simple step of making an offer is not as binding as they may think. So people can be very excited, very happy, and then freeze as soon as they find something they love. Because they're
Reality
nervous.
sets in.
How many what do I need to know? What information do I need to have? What if this? Oh, I'm sending that, but what am I forgetting? What am I not asking? Hyperventilate. So that's when it's really important that you've also explained how the process is, what the process is gonna look like. And if at all possible, you're gonna do that in your first appointment with them and explain to them that once the home is found, you're gonna write up an offer. If there's some information that we need to verify, then we'll make sure that the contract gives us the time to be able to find out whatever we need to find out to make an informed and good decision. And so, for instance, in the condo, sometimes people, they want, all the information about everything, especially the engineers type. Give them lots of information, but there is no way that you would never sell anything if you spent all day long just calling and digging deeper for more information with, in the case of a condo, with the homeowners association, with just all these questions. So it's not appropriate at that level. And so they're going, well, why don't you do it, you know, I'm just gonna, trust me, this is how it works, until, you know, we get to a certain stage. So I just wanna make sure that they understand what the inspection is for. You know, it's very important, and typically we give it 14, 15 days. And during that time, I'm gonna work hard for you, Teresa, because I know it's really important to you that you know that this complex is managed well and that there's no big assessments coming. Can't ever promise that, but to the best of our ability, understand what's coming up. So what's gonna happen is once we put in the offer and they've accepted the offer, then they are going to, at their expense, order all the documentation that you need to look through to make sure you're making a good decision to the best of your ability. In other words, you're gonna be able to look at the budget. You're gonna be able to look and see how many reserves they have. You know, to get an idea if it's being managed properly, you know, what's going on there. My favorite is to look at the last couple of minutes from homeowners' meetings. Because that's when everyone's griping and complaining, and that's when all this stuff comes out. Read those minutes, it's the first thing I read. I love to do that, because that's gonna inform me as to where I might need to dig a little deeper. Or it'll help you to understand if this is gonna work for you. You're gonna look at the CC&Rs, covenants, conditions, and restrictions. And that's for the protection of all, and it's understandable. But if you like to save and not use your dryer and hang your laundry out to dry, there's probably gonna be a CC&R that you can't hang your laundry to dry on the lanai, because we want everything to look nice, just like we're not gonna let every different unit pink, one purple, one pink. If that happens, that's gonna affect your property as well, so, you know, the rules. But I want you to know what those rules are, to make sure that that's gonna fit with your lifestyle and what you're trying to accomplish. So stuff like that, right? So you can encourage them. You know, I'm able to say, hey, 31 years, no one's ever lost an earnest night with me. I'm not gonna let that happen now. So we need to make sure no one buys it out from under us. We're doing the right thing because we're not just
That's a true stat.
reserving this
That's a
or
true
that.
stat, by the way.
Hmm?
That's a true stat for you, 31 years, no one's ever lost this money?
Absolutely,
That's
I
awesome.
swear to God,
Good for you.
absolutely,
Good
never.
for you.
And that's because when you make a purchase, in your purchase agreement, you ask for what? What is it you ask for?
Oh, I thought you were just saying it means you found them the
I
right
mean,
house.
you have to have a loophole, right?
No,
of some
I meant
sort.
they never lost their earnest money because they messed up and didn't get the house and
Right.
lost their earnest
Right,
money.
right, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So in the J's and J1 in your, purchase contract is the inspection. And so it's gonna lay out how many days to the inspection. Typically, it's up, can be whatever, but it's typically for two weeks.
Okay.
And so in those, the day one is the, day following going at escrow. Okay, sold a little condo last night, today is day one. Those people have 14 days, and, yeah, but I'll order the documents for them. And so I'll deliver those documents, as soon as they get the documents, then they can start pouring through and asking questions and making sure that this is gonna work for them, right? And then if it's not gonna work for them prior to the deadline, we must tell them, oops, sorry, there's something happening here that's created, this no longer feels like a good investment. So we're gonna resend our offer, and you're out, you get your own money back and go back your business. Or you could, say, everything looks good, it's great, let's move on. Or you could say, effectively, I would like to move on, but before that, I want you to agree to taking care of the electric panel snafu, because that's an electric issue. That's a safety issue for whatever it is you're asking for. So we can, you know, have the inspection, have time to thoroughly study the report, make a list of what's important, and then help them figure out if there's anything that we need to ask them to do. And all that has to take place, and we have negotiate anything and just, have amnesia and 14 days goes by, then you have bought the house. Right? So it's an important part. You bought the house.
That's right. Good.
Bought it. Do you guys know Kevin?
Hey, everybody, how's it going?
He's a good manager.
Yeah, we do big internal management. So.
Yeah.
And also help clients by, if their buyers are interested in real numbers, oftentimes it's better to get a third party referral on what those numbers are versus directly from the agent. So it provides
And
you
you're
guys
happy
with-
to help them with that, and
Yeah.
you're happy to accept any referrals that they may
That's
have in
right.
the future.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
There we go. That is true, that's gonna happen, so sometimes, let's say if, for instance, they're gonna use it as a rental, and they wanna know what it's gonna rent for, and like that, how do we get rental income if it's not been used as a rental?
Mhm.
Well, then you can go somewhere else in the complex, or you look at what's sold, and then, get some generic information from the management company or another agent, stuff like that, so. That's kinda what he's talking about, which is a great thing. Okay, let's see.
I'm still not really clear on my question.
Okay, try again.
Okay, you've written up an offer, the offer's been accepted,
Mm-hmm.
okay. There is or there isn't a back door if they get cold feet and they decide they don't wanna get this house after all.
Yeah, within that inspection period, it's really
Okay,
easy
so
to
they
get
have
out,
2 weeks to get out of it, whether you write that in or
If you
not.
put 14 days.
if it's in there, and it will be in there. That's the other thing.
Okay,
Sometimes people get excited,
Uh-huh.
not in this market particularly, but if it's a crazy market.
uh-huh,
I mean, I've had markets where my buyers have waited in the street so I can run out and say, will you pay 10 more, cause there's 4 other.
Yep.
We're not
Okay.
doing that now, thank you, Laura.
uh-huh.
I saw one that was a waived inspection.
Okay, a waived inspection, okay, well, that's kinda what I was getting to.
Uh-huh,
I won't let my buyers do that.
okay.
They would have to be really phenomenal, I mean, they would have to be an
Same.
inspector.
I said to him, I said you're out of your mind.
I agree. And if that happens, we have a form that we're gonna have you give them to make sure that it's very clear in case you end up in court, cause something's gone sideways, that you told them and then against your advice that you chose. So, all my buyers have inspections, that's just cost of doing business.
So, if the inspection comes back and everything's cherry, I mean, and you've waited for the inspection to tell you there's something wrong, now you've lost that window of opportunity to bow out of the deal? I mean, I just wanna know, is there a back door?
Sure.
That's what my buyers might wanna know.
Right, well, you might have to create a back door. In the
That's
case of
what
a
I'm
condo,
asking.
it's really simple.
Okay,
But that's also
Look
a
at the
telling
C-
signal there too though, right? I mean, if immediately they're just looking for all the multiple back doors, I mean.
Right,
you've
well,
gotta
if
be
something
careful.
comes up and it's valid, and we don't want them to buy something that they don't want,
It's easy.
then you could go.
Well, maybe-
Then you can quote the CCNRs and find something that,
I mean, maybe they really just wanna know if that's a load-bearing wall, and they want their contractor to come in and say, yeah, we can totally gut this kitchen and make it exactly what you want, and that's gonna make or break the deal,
That's
Mhm.
inspection.
right?
So that's what you're able to do, that's exactly, so then if
So did you
if
write
it's
that
not
in?
a way.
Did you write that into the purchase?
No, it'll be part of the inspection process, and so, you're gonna go to that inspection and you're gonna make sure that, in this case,
Okay,
my buyer client hopefully is there, but
Uh-huh.
if they're not,
uh-huh,
then you're gonna make sure that the inspector understands that this is what they wanna be able to do. So, part of ordering an inspector is to know too, what any special situations or questions that you need to ask them.
okay,
So, Mr. Inspector, we're not sure if that's a weight-bearing wall. It's really important for us to know because they plan on blah, blah, blah.
uh-huh,
Right, so, yeah, call for help if you need it, but it's amazing, you can find ways out in those 2 weeks. After the inspection's up, it's much harder. Could be tough.
but you just told me I'm not gonna find out if it's a weight-bearing wall until the inspector comes back with his report, right?
No, but that's gonna happen in the inspection time.
Okay, so when does the inspection time end? When you get the report?
It ends when the time is up in J1. So you've put in 14 days.
Look, I have a contract actually.
Yeah. And
You put 14 days.
so, well, using yesterday, that little condo.
You sold the
so-
189?
Yeah, I sold it, yeah, I sold last night. So using that one, we had a counter and they accepted the counter, and so it was a deal as of, I don't know, late yesterday afternoon. Today is day one. They have 14 days to do anything they need to do.
The buyers, got it.
Mhm, and
Okay.
in that time.
So they have to do their own due diligence to find out what they need to know,
Right,
that, to make this place exactly what they want.
right,
Got it,
that's
okay.
right, yeah,
I get it.
yeah.
I
I mean,
get it.
we could, if, say for instance, they're nervous and you've been having an inspection, but, you know, your comfort zone is really Uncle Harry, who's been building houses for years and would do this work, or at least design it, he needs to come see too. Then, we could even put in there, under Q, is subject, to the approval of
Just-
so-and-so.
Conditional offer, right?
Yeah, yeah, so you can, you know.
Okay, great.
Please forgive me.
That helps
I have to
me.
get going. I've got
Do
a-
you, is it 12:30?
No, it's 12:25. I've got a
Okay,
12:30 phone
okay.
call, so I need to.
Nice to see you.
Likewise.
You guys can think about me when I'm in Hana for the next 3 days.
Oh, that's right. Enjoy.
Yeah, I will.
Are you on
And
vacation?
Elizabeth.
You can call that. Let's call it. I don't know. I'm gonna go out there and have a breakdown, that's what I decided I wanted to do.
Have a breakdown?
I mean, no,
Well, it's nice to go knowing your property.
I typically like to do my breakdowns on Wednesdays. Cheers, everyone.
Bye,
Bye, Elton, have a good one.
yeah, nice to see you.
I'll look at that.
I'd like to point out on page 31, this is kind of a nice little list. Establish how you'd like to keep in touch. Is it email, phone calls, text messages? Write lots of notes to yourself. Talk to them about how often you want to be in touch. Is it every time a new home comes on the market, plus a weekly communication, et cetera, et cetera. These are good items to put together. We actually have a better list, well, more extensive. I don't keep all of that stuff in, but having a nice little basket in the back of your car, cruising around with you is a good thing. Now Kevin, if you're gonna be working in the condo market, has the condo book. Have you seen the condo book? And you can get it at like $50. It's $80. Don't buy it at RAM, because it's $50 through him. They published it. And that's really, really good. It's like the Bible for realtors and condos, and it gives tons of information. So that's a good thing to have in your arsenal as well. You know, and like that.
And it's up to date and everything?
No.
We had an old one for years. The last about 4 years ago, they updated it. So pretty much, you know.
So,
some basics.
like, if you wanted to check and make sure, like, you get a specific fact that you read from the book, where would you check that?
You would call either the owner or the management company.
Okay.
So I don't have one right in here with me, but, yeah. Yeah. So, on page 32, it talks about showing the homes. We've done a little bit of this of walking through, walking through and discussing the pluses and minuses of the different properties. Depending on the couple or the seller, I can turn it off when you're done if you want. It's just gonna be a couple minutes, I think. We're not gonna actually do a mock showing of the home, but I stick with people for the most part in the beginning, and then I back off so that they can spend time talking to themselves and about themselves, and, you know, with each other. So I think it's real important to give them space.
When you're showing at home? Yeah,
In
that's what I was
space.
just thinking too, like, if you take some time to step away and let them
Yep.
kind of do their own, like.
I like to
internal
step
work.
away to where I can still sort of hear what they're discussing, but I try and stay out of it as much as possible. You know, let me know when I can help you with something. And so give them space and ask them questions. Questions. That's how you're gonna uncover the objections. And once you've uncovered the objections, then you can go about, you know, taking care of it and either eliminating the house as a result or finding a solution so that they can overlook that one thing. You know what they say, buyers are liars and so are sellers? Doesn't sound very nice, but buyers believe they know exactly what they need and want, but it doesn't always turn out to be the case. And when I'm sitting for the first time meeting with people, whenever I think of it, I tell them, after I've made my notes,
I'm sorry.
no problem, I'm gonna be done in like 1 minute, so.
I just gotta go, I gotta.
Yeah, that's fine. Is it right 12:30? 12:31, okay, we're gonna finish up here. I was just, so I'm gonna share with you. I lost my thought, that's okay. Thank you, this has been fun.
Thank you.
Yes.
Have a great trip.